Welcome in. This is a segment from the Slumpbuster FFB Podcast with Aris Blakeney. Find the full episode on Spotify, iTunes, the Google Play Store, or our YouTube channel. Enjoy.
So let's move on to the AFC games. The most surprising game, I would think, is the Tennessee at Cleveland, where Tennessee demolished Cleveland 43-13. I don't know what happened with all the hype surrounding Cleveland. Baker, you made me lose. I'm very mad at you. You had 3 interceptions. It was not a good game for Baker. Chubb didn't have a good game. Odell Beckham didn't have a good game. Jarvis Landry didn't have a good game. David Njoku only had a good game because he had a touchdown. I don't know what happened with this team.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think expectations just got so high for this team. Everybody's even saying like, oh, Super Bowl chances and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to write them off yet, right? I chose them to win our division, right, even beating the Steelers. But right now, like, they just did not look good. And so I'm hoping this brings them back down to earth. They can regroup and say, okay, we got to pick it back up and get going. Because they have all of the pieces they really need. Baker Mayfield, I think he, coming in as a rookie, nobody really knew what to expect. I think people can read him a little bit better now. But they have so many weapons that there's no reason they should be getting whooped that bad, especially at home.
Yeah, and hopefully it's just rust from Baker not playing in the preseason, coupled with them playing a top 10 defense in Tennessee. That defense had 5 sacks, safety, 3 interceptions, and a touchdown. So, hopefully it's just that defense being that good and then just the rust because he didn't play. But Tennessee looked really good. Mariota had 248 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, this guy, I don't know where he came from. He had 84 yards rushing and a touchdown, and then he took a screen pass 75 yards to the house as well. At the start of last year, people were writing him off, and then he blew up the last 7 games, led the league in rushing the last 7 games, and now he's continuing it to this year. Anthony, I'm sorry for telling you your team sucks and Derrick Henry sucks because this guy's here to stay, I guess. Delaney Walker came back, 5 catches, 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But the guy that I'm most excited about in this offense, because they need a receiver, is A.J. Brown, 3 catches, 100 yards. He had 1 catch where he was just darting back and forth. This guy's going to be exciting. Hopefully he can solidify himself as the number 1 receiver because they definitely need it there because they have Delaney Walker and then really nobody else because Corey Davis still hasn't come into his own. But if Mariota can continue to put up these numbers, A.J. Brown, I could see becoming one of those weekly flex players for your team. I don't know how to talk about this next game. It's Baltimore at Miami.
Does Miami even want us to talk about this game?
Tank for Tua is definitely on. I knew they were going to be bad, but wow.
Yeah.
They made Lamar Jackson look like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. And
Wow.
Lamar Jackson is not a throwing quarterback, to be clear, right? Like, he is a predominantly run-first quarterback. They run the ball a lot, right? You expected them to run with Mark Ingram, which he did, but everybody ran all over the Dolphins today.
Yeah, don't expect this stat line to continue. 17 for 20, 324 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. At one point, this guy had 7 completions with 4 touchdowns. That's how bad Miami is. Even RG3 came in garbage time, threw a touchdown, went 6 for 6. But surprisingly, they still are a run-first team. Mark Ingram had 14 rushes. Gus Edwards had 17 rushes. Justin Hill had 7 rushes. Ingram had 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, Miami is bad. So whoever is playing Miami that week, it doesn't matter who is on their team, play who's playing against Miami. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. No, and I think you're exactly right. Don't expect Baltimore stats to continue at this level, right? Even Hollywood Brown popped off, right, for being a rookie. He looked outstanding. I don't think that's going to happen again. But I do think there is something to say, like, hey, these guys that are on the Ravens offense, they truly are capable. Again, they're a little bit inflated right now. Miami's just that bad. But if you have like a Mark Ingram, even if you took a chance on a Marquise Brown, right, a little bit later on in the draft, like it looks okay. And Lamar Jackson could possibly suffice. It looks like he's getting better at passing. So again, like we said, he's a run first quarterback, but he has shown some improvement. Or Miami's just that bad and anybody can make some passes. One or the other.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown, welcome to the NFL. Your first 2 catches were touchdowns. He finished the day 4 catches, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, the 2 touchdowns, he just ran right by the guy. Maybe this will continue because we've seen those, big play receivers continue to make a spot for themselves on these teams. Deshaun Jackson has made a living in the league doing this. But my guy, Mark Andrews, 8 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. Most of them just came right over the middle. That's what I expected from him. I kind of predicted that as well, so I'm kind of happy that's coming to fruition. But I want to congratulate Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is the first quarterback to throw a touchdown for 8 different teams. I don't know if that's a stat to be proud of or a stat to be mad at. Like, are you happy you've played for 8 teams, or are you happy you've played for 8 teams at this point?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing, right? I guess it shows that he is talented enough to still at least keep in the NFL, even if it's as a backup, right? But at the same time, it sort of sucks in that, like, you were never that good to be, like, the go-to starter, and they just kept you on a team for, a super long time. So congratulations, though. That is an impressive stat. That's actually kind of cool to say, though, like you said, it might not be, the best stat there is. There are some drawbacks to it.
Yeah, that game is just whoever's playing Miami, just play those players. I don't care if it's the 7th string receiver, because the 4th running back on the roster, Ricard, scored a touchdown. So it doesn't matter. They will be garbage time touchdowns. Just play them on a whim, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, every minute you're playing Miami is going to be garbage time. So,
yeah. Oh God, I feel bad for Miami, but congratulations on getting 2, I guess. Let's move on to the Bills and the Jets, one of the only division games out there. Bills won 17-16 on pretty fun game. Towards the end, it was very exciting because they were down and then they finally passed them. I always like those games where it comes down to the wire. Josh Allen had a really good stat line, 24 completions, 254 yards, 1 touchdown. Only problem was he had 2 interceptions. But then surprisingly, like we learned last year, this guy is actually a running quarterback, 10 rushes, 38 yards, and a touchdown. Nobody expected that, him coming out of college. But last year he had 5 touchdowns in a game, 3 passing and 2 running. So, you can kind of boost your points with those rushing yards that he's going to get. Singletary looked amazing in this game. He had 4 rushes for 70 yards, 5 catches for 28 yards. This is why they got rid of Shady. It was because of him. The Jets defense just looked really good, so they shut down the run pretty well this game. Frank Gore had 11 rushes for 20 yards, but that's his MO these last couple of years. He's going to have 700 rushes this year for 700 yards because he gets 1 yard per carry pretty much. That's just going to be a stat line. But they needed a receiver. They went out and got a receiver. John Brown, 7 catches, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. You're going to get similar stats from him. They don't have another number 1 receiver who could even possibly get him, except for Cole Beasley, but he's more over the middle guy. He'll get you more catches for less yards. John Brown's going to be that, top of the line, over the top guy. Sam Darnold looked pretty good, 28 for 41, 175 with a touchdown. But everybody was watching this game for Le'Veon Bell, and he played every snap after they told. Coaches were putting out statements saying that he's going to be limited. He played every snap, came through with 17 carries, 60 yards, 6 catches, 32 yards. a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion. Saved everybody's fantasy days. He looks like the old Le'Veon Bell, patient running. You know all about him being former Pittsburgh Steeler. He pretty much ran the same way, really patient, waited for those holes to open up, and then just darted right through them.
Yeah, and he's showing that he is one of the best running backs, especially when it comes to like the PPR leagues, right? He's able to do sort of that both receiving and rushing. And he's patient. He knows when, where the gaps are, where he could run through them. So he's definitely still a top tier running back, even on a team that arguably, right, a lot of people argued, hey, he's not going to have as many weapons around him like he did in Pittsburgh. So a lot of teams are going to plan for him, and a lot of defenses are going to plan for him. And he was still able to have a pretty successful day.
Yeah, and I want to say I was right about Crowder, even though Juju laughed at me when I said Crowder's going to flirt with 100 catches. This man had 14 catches for 99 yards. He's going to get 100 catches this year. So if you have a PPR league, get Jamison Crowder. He had 17 targets, 14 catches. That's 14 points alone right there.
Yeah, you can rub it in Juju's face.
So you guys laughed because I said he's going to be a PPR monster, and Julian said that he's not going to get it. I don't see. Bam, 14 catches, 99 yards. Just saying. Jets defense had a safety and a pick six. One of the top defenses in the league this week. Hopefully they can keep it up. There'll be a nice streaming option going forward. But the next game, we kind of have the most to talk about here. Kansas City at Jacksonville. I think the most news came out of this one with Nick Foles going down, breaking his collarbone, being out indefinitely, and then Tyreek Hill getting shipped off to the hospital because he had a shoulder injury that affected his sternum. So, hopefully Tyreek Hill could come back. They said he's going to be out for a couple weeks. But Mahomes is a bad man. This guy had 275 passing yards in the first half. I said he wasn't going to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. I may have to eat my words on this one.
Oh, yeah. Julian might be, he might look like the genius out of the three of us. He said that he could possibly top last year's season, and right now I would not be surprised. Mahomes, he looks like a monster. He's obviously deserving of, number one quarterback. If you're drafting a quarterback and Mahomes is there, right, like that's the person you should have drafted. If you skip Mahomes, you made a mistake.
Yeah, he's definitely going to make me eat my words. I'm going to hate this guy because we have to face him twice this year. It's not going to be a fun year for the Chargers. We're going to run into Kansas City. We're going to run into New England. And I hate the AFC.
And, well, something that's important to say in this game, though, is Mahomes, he did get injured a little bit, right? So he sort of rolled his ankle or something happened. But I don't think it's going to be a big issue. He's probably still going to play next week. I don't even think it's going to slow him down that much, but is something a little bit to monitor, I guess.
Yeah, if you had Tyreek Hill, I'm sorry. He had 2 catches for 16 yards, left injured. He's going to be out a couple weeks. But if you drafted Sammy Watkins, congratulations, you won this week. 9 catches, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's a stat line that usually Antonio Brown puts up, Julio Jones puts up, Michael Thomas will put this up, DeAndre Hopkins. This is elite receiver status, and now that Tyreek Hill is out, he's going to step into that role of catching that. And then Kelsey, 3 catches, 88 yards. I don't know what happened with the top 3 tight ends because they were not top 3 this week. And then Shady McCoy looked like Shady of old. 10 carries, 81 yards, 1 catch for 12 yards. He looked like he had bursts still. He was running outside the tackles like he usually does. He was cutting like he usually does. I don't know what happened last year in Buffalo. Maybe he was injured, but he looked really good. And then Damian Williams obviously took a hit. He did save his game with a touchdown. He only had 26 yards rushing, 39 yards receiving. So you could kind of expect this split to go further. But yeah, Shady looked really good. Man, looked really, really good.
Yeah, see, I told you. He just had to get to where there was more offensive weapons. That's why I was willing to pick him up. I'm a little bit disappointed, though, because I had to drop Hawkinson in one of my leagues to pick up McCoy. And because I thought, no, there's no way that Hawkinson right out the gate is going to be that good, right? He's going to be boom or bust. He's definitely on the boom side for this week. So I really wish I would have kept Hawkinson in one of my leagues. But yeah, I thought Shady McCoy, he looked all right. He didn't have a touchdown this game, though, right?
No touchdown, but he did look good. He's going to have 3 to 5 touchdowns this year. He still had the burst, so he's going to get them. Let's kind of talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars because when Foles went down, I was a bit scared for this team. I was like, oh, crap, I don't know who their backup is. They were hyping up the connection between him and D.D. Westbrook. And then I saw who they had. His name is Gardner Minshew. If you don't know this guy, he has one of the best mustaches in the league. He played for Washington State, and last year in college, he won a game where his team didn't have a rushing attempt. He threw the ball every play. So this guy can ball. He put up the numbers for it. 22 attempts, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. For a rookie, that's a hell of a stat line.
Oh, yeah, and especially to come in right after the starting quarterback has gotten hurt. Because a lot of times what you always hear is, hey, your backup quarterback just has to keep you afloat in the game, right? Is you hope your starting quarterback can get you in the lead, and then if they go down, you hope your backup quarterback can keep you afloat. But for a rookie, that's very impressive. And so as far as, Nick Foles is going to be out for probably a little bit, at least a few weeks, he might, be a decent option if you need just to pick up a quarterback.
Yeah, he's gonna ball out. He's balled out in college, so he definitely has the arm talent to get around. Leonard Fournette kind of had a terrible game. He had 13 carries, 66 yards, 4 catches for 28, no touchdowns. But the receivers all came to play. D.D. Westbrook had 5 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. Chris Conley came to play against his old team. He had 6 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. And DJ Clark. Do you know who DJ Clark is?
I do not.
Nobody else did. This man had 4 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. He should have had another 75-yard touchdown that Foles just threw over his head. This guy can end up being the number 1 out there. He's a rookie. This guy looked good because Kansas City's defense isn't top-notch, but it's not the worst in the league. So he's playing against, middle-of-the-pack guys. He looked good. I'm targeting him on the waiver wire. DJ Clark is going to come and win my season for me.
No, I think that's definitely good advice, right? He's probably a guy that a lot of people slept on, so he definitely is going to be available on a lot of waiver wires. So look to pick him up.
Oh, yeah, he's undrafted in, I think, 100% of the leagues that I just looked on Yahoo. He's not on a single team, so he's available. I'm definitely going to be looking for him in some of my leagues because my receivers didn't do anything for me this week. Thank you, Stephon Diggs. You didn't do anything. So DJ Clark, he's getting promoted for my team. All right, last game we're going to talk about is my team. 1-0. What's your record, Andre?
Yeah. Shut it. Who did you guys play, though? Who did you play?
Doesn't matter. We're 1-0. So we played the Colts. Avoid the fact that we went to overtime.
Yeah.
Without
an Andrew Luck. So let's just be sure that everybody knows Andrew Luck did retire. He did not play.
A win's a win. Okay, we won. I was happy. So we won 30-24. And all I want to say is Melvin Gordon's case for a bigger deal got shot down today. My man, Austin Eckler, 12 rushes, 58 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 catches, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Let's go, Austin Eckler.
Yeah, and so I feel bad for Melvin Gordon now. Like, you might as well hold out the rest of the season because they don't really need you anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not looking good for him. Justin Jackson added 6 rushes for 57 yards, 100 yards rushing on the ground for us. He did have a rushing touchdown to win the game. We didn't need Melvin Gordon. We probably would have had the same stat line with Melvin Gordon, just rolled into one person instead of two. But man, I'm excited for this year until playoffs and the stupid Patriots.
I know.
Phillip Rivers had his normal stat line, 25 attempts, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. You're pretty much going to get that from Rivers. He's going to be consistent on that part. Bad parts are Hunter Henry only had 60 yards on 4 catches. Mike Williams left injured with 29 yards. Look for Dontrell Inman, who we just signed, to come back and kind of fill that role. Dontrell Inman is a really good player. He filled in perfectly when Keenan Allen went down 2 years ago. Super happy we have him back. But Keenan Allen, 8 catches, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. Most underrated receiver in the league. This man's route running skills are ridiculous. I was a receiver in high school, so I love route running. His footwork is amazing. This stat line is pretty much going to continue, especially now that Mike Williams is going to be out for a while. Phillip Rivers is going to have to go somewhere, and it's going to go to Allen. But the Colts didn't look really bad. Jacoby Brissett had 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Marlon Mack stepped up big for him, 25 rushes, 174 yards, and a touchdown. T.Y. Hilton, a lot of people were worried about him. He had 8 catches, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But your 2 takeaways, Eric Ebron, we knew was going to fall. He had 1 catch for 8 yards. Did have a touchdown that was called back. But Funches, 3 catches, 32 yards, left injured. So that's going to be a big hit to them. And we're not going to talk about Adam Vinatieri missing 3 field goals that could have won them the game. So on to the next one. Win's a win. Chargers won.
Yeah, no matter how ugly it is, right? It goes towards your record.
So now that the Sunday night game is over, let's kind of – do you want to talk about that game? Or is it a sore spot?
So like I said, on mine and Juju's podcast, I was expecting us to lose this game. We always get big brothered by the Patriots. So everybody knows the Patriots are tough no matter what. Doesn't matter if Tom Brady's 25 years old or 50 years old. They're going to be a tough team to play. And then, we lost a lot of our offensive weapons, obviously, with Antonio Brown. He's now gone. We also lost Le'Veon Bell, obviously, which James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster are still fantastic in their own right. And they still are very, top-tier quality receiver and running back. But you can just tell that we did not look very good. And the Patriots just had their way with the Steelers tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong, but they dropping passes. Big Ben wasn't connecting all the way. Connor couldn't get in the groove. It was just kind of a sad game to watch because I was expecting it to be a little bit closer than 33-3. But, Big Ben, 276 yards, no touchdowns, interception. Connor had 10 rushes for 21 yards. Jalen Samuels had 2 rushes. Juju, who is supposed to be the number 1 now, 6 catches for 78 yards. But Bill Belichick does one thing very well. He takes away your number 1 option. He's not going to let your number 1 beat him. It's going to be your 2 and 3 option. They're going to have to step up. He's really good at taking away that. So you were hoping for James Washington and for Moncrief to step up, and they really didn't. So let's go Patriots real quick. Tom Brady, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then this is the part about New England that I hate. You never know which running back is going to get work. The only one that you can count on is James White because he's going to be the passing back. But Rex Burkhead had 8 carries. James White had 4 carries. Sony Michel had 15 carries. Kind of all over the place with their carries. Usually you don't know who's going to be the hot hand that they go with. And then Philip Dorsett, 4 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julian Edelman had 6 catches, 83 yards. Josh Gordon, 3 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. James White, 5 catches, 56 yards. It was just a bad showing on your guys' part. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I was pulling for a closer game, but in the pick'em pool that I was in, I did have them winning.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to go and with the fantasy sort of aspect of this, do not expect the Steelers, I think, to be that bad throughout the whole season, right? I know a lot of people had Big Ben. He put up good numbers last year. This will hopefully be his worst game of the season for you statistically. I think he's going to get a lot better. Juju's going to, he's going to show that he is that wide receiver 1 sort of option for you. And I think James Conner will have a better time. It's just every time that the Steelers play the Patriots, I think they're now 12-3 in the last 15 games or something like that. Some crazy, ridiculous stat is they just do not show up against this team. And so, yes, it does suck to see this, especially if you had some of those offensive pieces on your team. Do I think it's going to continue? No, I think they will get better throughout the season. And usually the Steelers tend to bounce back pretty well from tough losses. However, if you're the Patriots, I mean, they have so many options. Like, there's just so many.
They can go to anybody.
Yeah. And that is the one thing that I do think may hurt Antonio Brown a little bit, which we talked about at the first segment, is that they do like to spread it around a little bit more. I still think Antonio Brown, once he fits in, will be their go-to option. So I'm not telling you to trade Antonio Brown or anything like that. But I would say expect maybe just slightly less production than you might expect if he were the only option, right, in Oakland or something like that.